Look, let's be totally honest for a second here. If you're tuning into this explainer, you've probably felt that low-key, underlying anxiety when you check your bank account on a random Tuesday morning. You know the feeling. You're working incredibly hard. You're putting in 40, 50, maybe even 60 hours a week. You've even cut back on those $5 lattes. But somehow, at the end of every single month, the math just doesn't math, no matter how many times you try to carry the one. You make what society considers good money, but you just aren't building actual wealth. Well, we're gonna dive right into this today, because we are stripping away all the fluff and all the Wall Street gatekeeping to give you a straightforward, no-nonsense blueprint for your financial freedom.
So why does it feel like you're just running on a hamster wheel? To answer that, we have to completely deconstruct this massive lie that society sold us. The traditional blueprint goes a little something like this. Go to school, rack up thousands and thousands in student debt, land a stable corporate gig, buy a house with a 30-year mortgage that eats half your take-home pay, and then gracefully retire at 65 when your knees barely work anymore. And that's assuming the retirement age hasn't been pushed to 75 by the time we actually get there. That system, it's fundamentally broken. You've essentially been handed a playbook that was written for an economy that hasn't existed since the 1980s. Right now, inflation is actively eating away your purchasing power like a termite in an old wooden house. And housing costs are wildly disconnected from wages. Because of all this, you end up living like you're walking a tightrope without a safety net, relying entirely on just one single paycheck. Sure, you're surviving, but you're trapped in this precarious state where one strong gust of wind, like a broken down car or a surprise medical bill, can knock you completely down. If you want an extraordinary financial life, you have to stop taking financial advice from ordinary people.
Here is the exact roadmap we'll use today to cut through all the complicated jargon. First, the middle class trap. Second, the idea that money is stored time. Third, automating your wealth engine. Fourth, the magic of compounding. And finally, number 5, buying back your freedom. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the middle class trap. Which brings us right into Section 2, money is stored time. Before we even talk about stocks or charts, we absolutely have to fix how you look at currency. Most people operate with a purely transactional mindset. They see $20 and think, hey, I can buy a $20 steak. But an everyday investor, they see money as stored time. Think about it like this. Let's say you make $25 an hour after taxes, and you decide to buy a new pair of designer sneakers for $250. Your brain immediately goes, wow, those look great. But your wealth-building brain should be saying, wait, I just traded 10 hours of my life for those. 10 hours of sitting under harsh fluorescent lights, dealing with a micromanaging boss who emails me at 9 p.m., and sitting in bumper-to-bumper rush hour traffic, all for a piece of leather. When you start measuring prices in the actual hours of your life worked instead of just dollars spent, you stop being a passive consumer and you become a fierce protector of your own freedom. And this leads directly to the stark difference between looking rich and being rich. We all know that one person, right? The one driving the pristine luxury SUV, living in the trendy high-rise apartment, who secretly only has $400 in savings and is quite literally one missed paycheck away from total ruin. That is a gilded cage. It looks absolutely beautiful on the outside, but you are completely trapped inside. True wealth is actually incredibly silent. It's a boring, everyday brokerage account that compounds quietly while you sleep. It's an unshakable concrete foundation. That way, when life throws a massive curveball your way, you don't even skip a beat. But look, you cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. Before we can grow your wealth, we absolutely have to stop the bleeding. If you are currently carrying a credit card balance with a 24% interest rate, you need to stop looking for investment ideas right now. Seriously, every single dollar you put into the stock market while holding this kind of debt is a mathematical mistake. There's absolutely no legal investment on planet Earth that reliably pays a 24% return year after year. Paying that credit card off, that is a guaranteed risk-free 24% return on your money. It's literally the best investment you can possibly make. So to ruthlessly attack this consumer debt before investing a single dime, you need a solid plan. You've got 2 highly effective options here. First, there's the debt snowball method, where you pay off your smallest debts first to get those quick psychological wins. Why does that work so well? Because human behavior is deeply driven by dopamine. When you completely zero out that first small credit card, you feel this immense rush of victory. It proves to your brain that doing this is actually possible, and that gives you the fierce motivation to tackle the next one. Or alternatively, you can go with the debt avalanche method. This is where you attack the debt with the highest interest rate first, which mathematically saves you the absolute most money over time. Just pick one, automate the extra payments, and utterly destroy that debt. Okay, now wrap your head around this massive number, $150,000.
Once your high-interest debt is gone, you have to start looking for those quiet leaks in your checking account, what we like to call ghost expenses. It's that $7 app subscription, the premium streaming service you never actually watch, the guilt trip gym membership you've maybe used twice. Individually, they seem totally harmless, but 5 or 6 of these can easily add up to $100 a month. And if you took that same $100 a month and invested it into a low-cost index fund over a 30-year career at a historic 8% return, it turns into roughly $150,000. That forgotten streaming service isn't costing you $15 a month, it is literally costing you a future down payment on a house.
Moving right along to Section 3, Automating Your Wealth Engine.
So, we've plugged the leaks. Now we focus on the mechanics of building wealth. The truth is, human beings are inherently bad at discipline. If you rely on raw willpower and just leave leftover money sitting in your checking account, your brain is magically going to find a reason to spend it, on new car floor mats or concert tickets, whatever. We have to build an automated system. The crucial point here is restructuring your cash flow using a really intentional twist on the classic 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your take-home income goes to the essentials: housing, utilities, groceries. 30% is for your lifestyle, dining out, hobbies, catching a movie with friends. But we strictly prioritize that remaining 20% bucket for your financial freedom, channeling it relentlessly into investing and paying down debt.
To execute this, your very first step is moving your emergency cash into a high-yield savings account. Listen, your traditional brick-and-mortar bank is actively insulting you with a 0.01% interest rate. They might give you a free lollipop in the lobby while they do it, but they're essentially giving you $1 a year on $10,000, while they turn around and lend your own money out for mortgages at 7%. It's wild. Online high-yield savings accounts are totally FDIC insured, but they pay significantly more. They can turn that exact same $10,000 into hundreds of dollars a year in passive risk-free interest, safely parked out of sight.
Here is the exact automation sequence that completely takes you out of the loop. Step 1, your paycheck hits your standard checking account. Step 2, on that exact same day, 20% automatically vanishes. 5% routes straight to your high-yield emergency fund, and 15% goes directly to your investments. Step 3, you live completely 100% guilt-free on the remaining 80%. When you want to buy a coffee or a new video game, you just buy it. You are essentially tricking your own brain into building long-term wealth because all the heavy lifting happens in the background before you even see the money.
All right, now that we're automated, we pivot to offense with Section 4, the magic of compounding.
So where does that 15% investment money actually go? Social media will have you believe you need to pick individual stocks or day trade crypto, but honestly, stock picking is gambling. The hard data clearly shows that over 90% of professional fund managers, I'm talking people with Harvard degrees and supercomputers on Wall Street, failed to beat the average return of the broader stock market over a 15-year period. So if the pros can't even do it, what are we supposed to do? We use the secret pioneered by John Bogle: low-cost index funds. Instead of risking everything on one single company and just hoping it doesn't go bankrupt, you buy a fractional share of a self-cleaning basket of stocks. When you buy a fund tracking the S&P 500, you instantly own tiny pieces of the 500 largest American corporations. You own Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway. If a legacy company starts failing, it simply drops out of the fund and the next rising star takes its place automatically. You don't have to monitor boring earnings calls, it diversifies your risk instantly. The beautiful math of compounding using this exact strategy is simply staggering. Just let these numbers sink in for a second. If you start with zero and invest $500 a month into an S&P 500 index fund at a standard historical 9% average return, you hit $97,000 in 10 years. By year 30, it's $872,000, but the massive explosion happens right between year 30 and year 40. You only contribute an extra $60,000 of your own actual money during that specific decade, but your portfolio value skyrockets to over $2.1 million. That right there, that is the definition of your money working for you. Now I know what you might be thinking. What if the market crashes tomorrow? Well, the everyday investor removes emotion entirely by using a strategy called dollar cost averaging. You just invest that exact same amount regularly, regardless of what the news or the market is doing on any given day. When the market drops 20%, you don't panic and sell. You realize the absolute best companies in the world just went on a 20% off sale. Your automated dollars just buy significantly more shares at a massive discount, which completely irons out the volatility over your long-term investing timeline.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, buying back your freedom.
Because making the money is really only half the battle. You have to keep that compounding wealth out of the government's hands. And to do that, you must use what I call legal tax vaults. First up, look at your 401k. If your employer offers a match, that is your absolute #1 priority. If they match your 3% contribution, that is a 100% instant return on your investment. It is literally free money. Second, embrace the Roth IRA. With this, you put in money you've already paid taxes on, but the absolute magic is that it grows completely tax-free forever. If you build $1 million portfolio inside a Roth IRA over your career, you can withdraw every single dollar of that profit in retirement, and you won't owe a single cent in taxes. You get to keep the whole shebang. As we start to wrap up this explainer, I do want to leave you with a vital warning to ground all of this. When people start this automated compounding journey, they often get incredibly obsessed. They start checking their digital numbers 3 times a day, they stress over daily market fluctuations, and they completely forget to actually enjoy the life they're trying to fund in the first place. Never forget this quote: "Money is a fantastic servant, but it is a horrible master." Do not sacrifice living in the present day just to achieve an arbitrarily high score on a digital screen. Because the ultimate goal of this entire blueprint isn't just about being incredibly rich. The true prize we are really after here is optionality. When you build this strong financial foundation, emergencies stop being life-ruining events and they just become minor inconveniences. You gain the absolute superpower to look at a toxic employer and calmly say, "I quit." You get the immense freedom to take a lower-paying job that you're actually passionate about, or simply spend way more invaluable time at home with your family. You are literally buying back your life on your own terms. They say the best day to start investing was 10 years ago, but the second best day is today. Small, consistent, highly automated choices will completely alter your trajectory over the next decade. So, I want to leave you with this thought. You have the blueprint now. What step of the roadmap are you tackling today to buy back your life? Are you going to kill a ghost expense? Finally open that high-yield savings account? Let that sink in, take some action, keep compounding, and I'll see you in our next